Next, we're gonna learn a little something about rock and roll, which started as rhythm and blues. So I'm going to sing you the blues, or rather, the greens. You see, I'm going to sing the green with envy blues. All right, hit a note. Day. Oop. I was reading a fly speck. Get off of there, you cookie fly, you. All right. That's the whole introduction.
Hello, passengers, and welcome to another exciting Grand Circle Tour Detour episode. And joining me today, we have our very own Jungle Skipper, Jay. Hey, Jay, what's up?
Aloha, George. How you doing?
Not too bad. Trying to fight off a cold, but other than that, not too bad. So, passengers, if I sound a little bit crackly in my voice, I do apologize.
It's okay. I'm on pain medication. We're two peas in a pod today. I went and I did an episode last night with our friends over at Mousecast, and Dum Dum here broke his toe 2 hours before the show. But on with the show.
Yep. So it's safe to say, passengers, we are in the recovery process.
We might be a little loopy, so we'll see how far this detour ventures off the tracks.
Yeah. So we're starting off with the monorail already with some quirks.
Well, you're our bellhop, so we're lost in the Twilight Zone already.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, so especially with you, you're probably feeling that Twilight Zone.
Woo! I feel like a skyway bucket right now.
So I thought today we would talk about something a little different. Normally with our adventures and our detours and everything, we usually talk about the parks and the resorts and the cruise ships and everything. But I thought this time that we would talk about something within the company that is taking everybody by storm. And what I mean by that is, as far as like with other companies go, is the new streaming service that Disney is coming out with called Disney Plus. And it will premiere on November 12th of this year. And just recently, Disney has bought the remaining 33% stake of Hulu off of Comcast, and that there is rumors flying around that they're going to bundle both Disney Plus and Hulu together. And I'm assuming with Hulu, that's where all the Fox content is going to go.
Assuming it'll be like Miramax, anything they want to do that isn't in the family audience will just go over there.
Yeah. Yeah, like anything.
Miramax, Touchstone, all that great stuff that Disney made but didn't want the Disney label on.
Yes. And I know that it's somewhat Disney related, but not. But like, I hope Pulp Fiction's part of it because I enjoy Pulp Fiction. But
it's the greatest movie ever made, but that's a detour for a different day. Probably one behind a Patreon wall.
Yes.
So we can keep our clean rating.
Yes, definitely. But I'm assuming as like Pulp Fiction, Sister Act, like movies like that, that'll be under in Hulu. I also attached with Fox because, with I guess like movies like with Home Alone and Avatar and everything, I don't think they would add those to Disney Plus.
I'm wondering about original content they're going to put on Hulu, because so far everything from the MCU, my favorite stuff has been the Netflix stuff. I like the more adult-oriented content, so I'm curious as to what they're going to produce but put out through Hulu.
Now, everything that's on Hulu now, is that going to stay, or is Disney going to debunk everything and start over from scratch?
That's a good question. Because they already have Hulu originals.
Right.
But I don't know. I can't see them just completely wiping the slate clean and rebuilding when they're already building Disney Plus. They could do it.
The one thing that I hope they do change with Hulu is there's a lot of, at least on our end, a lot of bugs.
Really?
A lot of glitches and everything. There's certain things that we cannot watch. Like, we're big time Law and Order SVU watchers, and we cannot watch it on Safari when we go on Hulu. We always have to go on Firefox to watch specifically Law and Order.
On your computer or on your TV?
Computer.
Okay.
Yeah. And then the whole complete set, like of the Twilight saga won't
Mhm.
play at all. It reads an error.
Well, that's fine. No one needs to watch that anyway.
And then what was the other one? March of the Penguins 2 that we wanted to see. So I hope that Disney does, as I said, I don't know if anyone else has those issues, but I hope it does get. And I would also like a better arrangement
How so?
with Hulu. I don't know, like it just seems like everything is like so scattered. Especially now, like at times, like when we watch something on the TV, it keeps on changing the main screen where you literally have to scroll down every title of a movie or a TV show rather than it be like a solid screen with like the tiles in it. And it
Right.
keeps on changing like back and forth, and it's very annoying.
So that's one thing I like about Netflix. When you start typing in what you're searching for, it comes up with two different options. It has a list of things and then a box menu of things, and they're both different.
Yes, definitely.
I
But
do
what were you saying?
I do like the fact that they're going to bundle both for one price, because I don't know about you, but at this point we have so many services that we're paying for monthly now through TV that when Disney Plus comes, I'm probably going to cut a few things. Because how many do I really need?
Yeah, we already cut Netflix already. And I was debating on Hulu, but now since that they could possibly bundle it with Disney Plus, then we're just paying a one premium a year and won't even have to pay it monthly for Hulu.
Right, and that is a killer deal, because you're getting 2 for 1 and two totally different things.
Yeah. So as far as the Disney Plus side goes, overall, I mean, I guess you can't really give a full observation because we have to actually see the content. But based on the description of how it looks and what they announced so far for the opening year, are you satisfied?
I'm pretty excited. I mean, this is kind of what I always hoped the Disney Channel would be. Everything all under one roof that you can access anytime.
And I like how you don't need to have internet connection.
Oh, you don't?
Nope. This is going to be the first of its kind that you can download it on your phone, iPad, computer, TV, and you do not need internet connection.
That's so smart. I wonder about the upcoming streaming war that's going to happen, because that is going to suck away business from a lot of people.
Yeah, definitely.
Just for convenience.
Well, and I believe that even with Disney, because you had mentioned several times of where there's going to be a recession even with Disney.
Yeah.
And I believe that I posted on our Facebook page that Disney, even with the streaming service, they're going to take a hit because they're not going to have no Star Wars, Avatar, or Marvel during that period time as like a recurrence that they guaranteed to know that they're going to bring in the money.
So they're doing yet another phased opening.
Yeah.
But I'm okay with that. It gets people in, and then you're excited for what's to come. I'm really looking forward to The Mandalorian, for one.
Yes. I saw just the still photo of it, and it got me hyped.
Yeah. And what I'm really hoping is all those spin-off movies they were going to do, like Obi-Wan Kenobi and Boba Fett, I wouldn't mind having those as like a 6 or 8 episode series.
Yes, because if they really feel that it's going to be losing money in the theater, I think that they would gain popularity by adding them onto Disney Plus.
Definitely. I mean, I love BBC TV. One of my favorite things about it has always been where in America we run a show into the ground. We'll do 30 episodes for 10 years, and it'll live beyond its date. I've always liked where they'll do 6 or 8 episodes. It's a series. We told the story. We've done. We may come back. We may not.
Yeah. And the other thing that is attaching with Disney Plus is we're huge fans of National Geographic. So that's also attached within the service. And when you have cable, you actually have to pay an additional fee to add Nat Geo.
Right.
So that's a benefit. So between like that Hulu and just Disney Plus itself, I mean, that pretty much takes almost 2/3 of your somewhat cable, setting, aside from, having internet.
Now, do you
But
guys use a box or because we use a Roku? We love it because rather than having to flip through the hundreds of channels to find nothing, everything is an app.
oh,
I pick and choose what I want, and I actually put it where I want.
oh, that's interesting. Yeah, right now we just have like the normal cable box like connection, but we don't have cable per se. We have it like bundled with the internet, so it's like we get like the free on demand and everything through Comcast, and we get like I think like a couple months worth of like HBO and Showtime and stuff like that, which very rarely do we use, but we have it.
Yeah, I mean, we have HBO, and there's only 2 shows I watch on it right now, and that's Game of Thrones, which is coming to an end, and John Oliver, and I kind of leave it alone other than that.
Yeah. I think, honestly, as far as Disney goes, this is probably the best time to bring out their very own streaming service because now everything is just so vulnerable.
Well, and you're kind of getting lost in all the direct services now.
Yeah. It's like no one, because you could find something on Hulu that could be on Netflix or that can be on this, where I love how Disney is just going to have its own content. Like nowhere else, you could just find whatever you want, and then attached with Hulu of having, the Fox franchise, and as you were saying, like with Miramax and Touchstone and Hollywood Pictures.
But like when you were just talking about Nat Geo, my mind went to, I hope all the True Life Adventures, the original ones, are all in one place so I can just binge them.
Yes. Yeah, if they're going to have that on, I really do hope that, and I get it that they're not going to release everything at once, but Bob Iger hinted to everyone at the meeting, the quarterly, I think it was at the quarterly meeting, that they said that they have over 90 years of content that will be used on the stream.
Most of it.
Yeah.
This is
a couple things that I could think of that will not be on there.
Well, this is a rant of mine, and this is a long-time rant of mine. I'm very anti-censorship. It comes with thing in the arts. I'm just anti-censorship. And we know they're going to edit Dumbo. Song of the South isn't coming. I'm curious as to see what else is going to be edited.
Well, there was a conversation that people were having online, and it's like, how far do you go as far as like what is appropriate and inappropriate in today's time of where, yeah, as like with the Joe Crow scene in Dumbo is going to be edit and changed on the streaming service. So does that mean with Peter Pan, with the Indian scene,
yeah,
what makes the red man red, is that going to get cut? That whole entire scene?
I see it happening. I could totally see it happening because if you're Native American, if I was Native American, I would find that song deeply offensive.
And that would actually cut, what, like 5 minutes? Would it be 5 minutes of
4 minutes-ish? But this is kind of, again, I'm going to just jump on my soapbox for a second. This is why you shouldn't get rid of your physical media.
Yeah, because you and I were talking about that, and I was debating. But after, I mean, I kind of already had an idea that Song of the South wasn't going to be added on.
Right.
For obvious purposes. And I knew I wasn't going to get rid of that because I actually have 3 copies of it, just to have. But I never thought, I mean, I understand why they would do it, but like Dumbo never really came to mind, and I thought, well, I'm definitely keeping my my Blu-ray of that.
Yeah. I think Turner handled it best when they bought all the old Hanna-Barbera cartoons, and rather than, because you can only cut Tom and Jerry so many times, they put it out, and I think it was Whoopi that introduced it and said, listen, what you're about to see is of its time. We have moved on. It's not appropriate now. This is the way it was. You're looking at it as it was when it was released.
Right.
And I remember in the 80s, late 80s, they released Song of the South back to theaters to test a reaction for Splash Mountain. And not only did it make money, I remember reading they didn't get a single complaint about the film.
Now, can I ask you, and this may be going into somewhat dark territory, but I think that's the part of the issue is that people don't like to have discussions about it. And I think we should. As a society, as a community, I think that people just get so jump to the conclusion that if you decide to talk about it, it's like, oh, we really shouldn't. But as far as like with Song of the South, do you think that was Disney's decision as part of the company that they fear it can lead into negativity?
Yes. Jim Hill Jim Hill on his recent episode was talking about how they would have Maya Angelou in for a project. It was John Henry, and when they let her know this was going to be to introduce Song of the South, she said, "Not only will I protest you releasing Song of the South, I will lead the protests against Song of the South."
Wow.
I understand. I completely understand. I empathize. I just don't find the movie any more or less racist than any film of that time.
Yeah. So do you think it's because it has the Disney name attached to it?
Oh, yes. Which makes me curious when this stuff gets released online, what else is going to be altered without us knowing it?
Yeah, it would probably be altered without us even thinking twice. And then if we go back and we say, or if we watch like a Blu Ray and we say, oh, that's right, that's not in there. I forgot about that.
It irritates me. Again, the whole censorship as an artist, it reminds me of the time when the monarchy would decide for the public which art was too dangerous for consumption.
Yeah. But on a lighter note of that, I mean, other than, of what they could possibly take out, I mean, with everything else of the 90 plus years of film and animation and everything, I really hope that Disney, if you're listening,
oh, they are.
I want to see the Walt Disney Treasures.
The ones that came in the silver tins.
Yes.
I loved those. I have a feeling those are going to be available as the Disney Treasures.
Yes. Like where you click on the section for that, and then you have it where it's almost like the box set. So if you have like the chronological of Donald Volume 1, then you click on that, and then you have all the episodes that's actually in that box set.
And those those treasure box sets are so treasured. Someone locally in my town is selling 3 of them. They want $600 for 3 of them.
I believe it. Because I remember for the part of the D23, they were selling like the complete set minus the Zorro collection, and there was one other one, I forget what it was. But I know Zorro.
You said Zorro, and I'm like, yes, I want to watch all of Zorro.
Yes.
I want to watch all of the Scarecrow of Romy Marsh. All this.
That was it. I think it was the Scarecrow and the Romy Marsh, and Zorro wasn't part of the whole collection. And I think that was almost like $2,500.
Wow.
For the whole entire collection, which a lot of people said it wasn't a bad price considered if you buy them individually.
You know what, though? I think I'll just pay for a streaming service to watch them.
Yes.
But here's what would really get me, because I love the VAM on the DVD and the Blu-ray, the value-added material. It's all the special features. Mm-hmm. If they were to put the special features along with the release, I would be in heaven.
Yes.
I would like to have a menu where I can watch the film, mm-hmm. and then all the special features are on the side.
Jess and I were having that conversation because just the other night we were watching Sleeping Beauty. And I said, it would be so cool that as part of Disney Plus, that when you go to click on the movie, they have the play movie, but then next to it is like a somewhat of a connection link that has all the special features that was part of that particular movie.
Right. People want that stuff. I have 2 different copies of Beauty and the Beast on Blu-ray upstairs. One I had to buy the European region free because I have the standard one that released here in America, but the one from overseas has the work print of the film, the one that was previewed where half of it was still just rough animation. And I bought an overseas Blu-ray just to have that third copy of the film.
Wow.
I roll deep.
Yeah. Yeah, that would, and again, if they don't start it out that way, it doesn't mean that they're going to not add it.
Right.
That,
I would happily pay a little more every month if all that extra content was on there.
yes. I still think in time it's going to, minus, again, what we were talking about, like the certain clips in movies or a certain movie that may not be added on. But as far as everything else goes, I think it's like a no holds bar. As far as like the True Life Adventure series, I would love to see it. Zorro, Davy Crockett, like
I would love it if they went all the way back to Walt's beginning and gave us the Alice comedies, Oswald's. They own him now.
yes.
I want the entire thing.
I would even want to watch, because it's a piece of history, even though it's already done. I would love to see the segments that Walt filmed himself as part of the wonderful world of color and Disneyland, because he went on to promote Disneyland to make the funds for it, to build it.
Yeah.
And like where he would introduce like some of the Imagineers on camera saying this is what they're making, the Carousel of Progress and the Enchanted Tiki Room, and Mary Blair style with It's a Small World. And then, of course, I loved watching his segment where he was introducing Epcot for Walt Disney World.
I love that. I would love it if there was some space on the service devoted to Walt Disney, so that kids know this was a person who struggled and risked a lot to build what he did and created these things. That he's not just someone they randomly quote on construction signs around the Magic Kingdom.
Yes.
Really, like, let people know this is the man that created this thing we all love together.
Yeah, like really get to know him as a person, because I tell that to people all the time, and this is where my connection is with the Disney name as it is when people say the term Disney, they either think of the movies, they think of the company, they think of the theme parks, the television shows and everything, the music. But for me, it goes all the way back that Disney is not just a company name. It's not a brand. It's a person that started everything.
Right.
And that's what it means to me.
Right, because I and listeners, let us know, because I'm not a millennial. What do you guys know about Walt Disney? Does the man have meaning for you? Is he someone that you actively research and look up? Is this someone you want to know more of? And
I think that would benefit for the millennials and the children growing up in this generation, and even the next generation, is that, families will always take them to the parks. They'll always put on the Disney movies. But I think, if they would have a section just devoted to Walt himself and show like home footage of him with his family and things that he did in the studio and your host Walt Disney sort of thing, that would.
I would love a series devoted to just the imagination of Walt Disney.
Yes.
Something that takes us chronologically on just what a creative man this was and everything he accomplished that we're still enjoying 53 years after his death. Yeah.
And it all started even before Mickey Mouse. I mean, It started with, as you mentioned, the Alice comedies and Oswald the Lucky Rabbit. I mean, it was the Disney Bros studio.
Yeah. I would love a miniseries on the channel about Walt as a young man faking his age to go serve in World War I.
Yes. Did you ever see they never showed that part, but have you ever seen the movie Walt Before Mickey?
I haven't.
You should actually watch it. It's a very good movie. Very good. And I do know that they had it on Netflix. Now, I don't know. It wasn't under the banner as far as it being titled as a Disney movie, but it wouldn't surprise me if it didn't show up on the streaming service, or at least on Hulu.
Was that the one on PBS?
No, that was Walt Disney, An American Culture or something like that. That was the one on the PBS. That was an actual PBS special.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one, that was like in several parts. But the Walt Before Mickey, this is actually with like actors portraying them.
Okay.
And actually telling the story of how he was as a child, and then the struggle, and then ending it with the premiere of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
I know a lot of people hated on that PBS special, but I really liked it. I liked them showing him as just a real person, someone who is able to overcome his own darkness to create all this wonderful stuff.
Because it just didn't pop out of nowhere. He had to work for it.
Yeah.
And it came with its struggles. It came with its hardships, but that's life. In order to get it where it was today, he had to do what he had to do.
Yeah, and that one made it just made him so much more relatable as a person.
Yeah.
I'm really hoping with this service, they're going to allow creative people to be creative and let all kinds of people in the sandbox just see what they make.
Yes. Like as far as like, because I've been waiting for ever that they announced that the Leslie Iwerks, the granddaughter of Iwerks, was doing a documentary film, sort of like how she did with the Pixar story, like everything behind that she was doing the Imagineering story. But now, and I'm thinking, did they cancel that? Did they? And it's actually now transformed and broken down into a docuseries that's going to be on Disney Plus.
Oh, cool!
And it's going to dedicate the whole rich history of the 60+ years of Imagineering.
I would love that. I would love theme park documentaries. My favorite of those treasure collections was the Disneyland one.
Yes.
I loved having the opening day of Disneyland on a shelf I could watch anytime.
Definitely.
Okay, if they steal this idea, I know they're listening. I would like to see them bring back the Muppets, the Muppet Show, but not put it in the theater. Let them run loose around the Magic Kingdom. Have them bring the musical acts back, but let them perform in like funky places in front of rides.
Okay.
The Muppet Show.
They could just pop up at any time.
Yeah.
Random. Because I like the Muppets, the American Adventure show that they have, like where like you could actually see them like up in the windows.
That's the best show. Yes. I forgot to go in Hall of Presidents because I was watching the Muppets.
Yeah. I love how it's just like completely where it's almost like they're somewhat free range.
Yeah. But like bring the Muppet Show back, but rather than like do it in a studio, let them run loose around Disney. Let them pop up anywhere, kind of like Dr. Bunsen and Beaker do in Epcot. But like that's the show. And still have the musical acts and let them perform, but don't have them on a stage, have them in front of Splash Mountain, have them on the riverboat.
Do you think that they will add more Muppet content for the streaming service? I mean, there's nothing announced yet, but I mean, do you think that they will?
I sure hope so, because the Muppets is one of those franchises that it's never going to die. It's always going to be fun. You own it, make something with it, make it fun. We all love it.
And I think as when we were talking about millennials of not, maybe knowing who Walt Disney really was and everything, I think that also goes the same for the Muppets. I think, people like you and I that grew up with the Muppets, have a deeper appreciation than kids nowadays. They're like, okay, they're puppets. They don't have like a connection with them. And I think that's very sad.
When I was a kid, Luke Skywalker came to the Muppet Theater and they helped him find Chewbacca.
Yes. Yeah, I used to watch reruns of the Muppet Show and all the Muppet films and everything. And I thought for sure with the success of the Muppet movie that came out in 2011, I thought that it was just going to almost do another takeover to where Disney was finally going to give them their own land in one of the parks. I
would love that. We talked to you and Dan and I talked about this recently about Muppet Courtyard and Star Tours, and we had the idea of reskinning it to the Muppets, but do the Great Muppet Movie Ride using the Star Tours vehicles. Yes, definitely. I love the idea of the Loki show, but rather than have Loki go interfere with history, I kind of want to see a a Roger Rabbit hybrid animation live action, and use what you have. Grab the muses from Hercules and have them do like an edutainment story about a famous historical figure and how they inspired them at the right time.
That would be interesting. Like bring in some of where the Disney characters are mixing in with actual history.
Right. That's the thing I'm most excited for with Disney Plus. There's such a rich history, so much content, but so many great characters that you could pluck out and bring back and do something brand new with.
Yes. And that literally is the sky's the limit, because not only do they already have content to use, but as time goes on, they could just keep on making more and more. And it's this streaming service, unlike, I mean, not to downgrade, Netflix or even Hulu for that matter, but Disney Plus is attached with Hulu now that Disney fully bought it, that I just think it's a powerhouse that's just going to knock all the other ones out of the water.
Right. And I'll give you an example for this content thing I'm talking about. 25 years later, and the Disney Afternoon is still like the greatest block of cartoons ever.
Yes.
Well, Chip and Dale were used as heroes. Scrooge was brought into the comics, and how much do we all love DuckTales? How could you not love the cast of Jungle Book as 1940s cargo pilots?
Yes. And where if you actually think of it now, you'd think, I don't really see that. But yet for the Disney Afternoon in the 80s and the 90s, it worked.
Yeah, they took some chances with older content and made it fresh and work, and we're still loving it.
And even to now with the reboot of DuckTales, now that they just announced that they're going to intertwine Darkwing Duck in an episode.
I about fell over when you showed me that. Remember the Little Mermaid series?
Yes, they had the Little Mermaid series, Hercules.
Yeah,
Aladdin.
Little Mermaid was a great show.
It really was.
I mean, it was set before the movie, but it was a fantastic show using those characters.
Yes.
I don't see why they couldn't pluck older characters out. Who knows? What are the Lost Boys up to? What's going on in Wonderland when Alice isn't around?
I mean, as far as like with Disney Afternoon, and I do love how, and again, I hope eventually they will find their way on the streaming service, which I don't have a shadow of a doubt that it won't. But like even with the after hours event that they had at Disneyland of like the 90s night with the Disney Afternoon, I so wanted to go. I really wanted to attend it, just be in my 90s attire I
wanted to go to that party so bad. I would have stood in line. I don't care how long for Scrooge and Darkwing.
Yes, I would have too. They said it ran for 2 to 3 hours just to get the picture, but for a picture of that stature,
I don't care. I would have stood there waiting for my ducks.
Definitely. And I mean, there were even characters even beyond that point that used to do meet and greets and not. Like if they would have brought the gummy bears out.
That's a show I completely forgot about, talking about the Disney Afternoon. That was a great show for its time.
Yes. And a lot of even, if you mention gummy bears, people think, well, you're talking about the snack you buy at the store or the gas station. They probably don't even know.
Why is it you can put a song in my head without even trying?
Yeah. Gummy bears.
I've done it everywhere. George does this to me all the time. He'll say, I don't know how he does it, but he'll look at me in the eyes of the screen. He'll say something, and I'm like, damn it, George, I'll be singing that the rest of the day.
Yeah, I did that to him several times, Passengers. And I guess today now is with the gummy bears.
It's like the fourth time you've done it this year. But we'll be on air, and he'll just look at me, and he'll say something, and he knows he's going to get it stuck in my head. And that's the day, George. I'm singing the gummy bears. Now I want to wrap this up.
Yeah. Now, a question for you is, with the Star Wars and Marvel content that they're going to add to the streaming service, of what we were talking about, like with the censorship and everything, do you think that would impact the creativity that they bring to Marvel and Star Wars in theaters? Do you think it would be somewhat diluted?
I don't think so. I think they're going to bring it over exactly as is. Netflix was great because they were able to take the same corner of a corner of the Marvel universe that we're not looking at and make it dark, but that was on a different channel. I think for their own services, they're going to come over. It's going to transfer over exactly as is. Like when we see Cassian Andor, I think it's going to feel like a really long Star Wars movie.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't think they're going to get darker than they've been in the films.
I mean, as I said, as far as seeing like the still shots with the Mandalorian and everything, and I mean, I just looked at that and I thought, wow, I literally cannot wait to watch it. And I do know that they're only releasing the first episode during the premiere opening. Now, I don't know if they're going to release episode by episode or if they're just going to release it all at once, but
I'm fine with them releasing it one at a time. It makes you come back to see what's new in the channel. But also, how many of us have started something and realized we've lost 5 hours? I did that last weekend. I wanted to watch Sabrina the Teenage Witch. I realized I was 5 episodes in and had other things to do on the weekend.
yeah.
So anyway, here's what I absolutely love about the streaming service. We're talking about The Mandalorian. Look how excited we are without seeing any footage. It is Star Wars. It looks like Star Wars. It feels like Star Wars. I'm all in without having seen anything.
Yeah, me too. Honestly, they just described what it was somewhat about, like the time era that it's in, gave us one still photo, and it's like, I'll watch it regardless. I don't even need any footage.
Right. I'll tell you what I'm really hoping for with when they bring Marvel to Disney Plus. I would love to see the New Mutants as a TV series. Some of the best X-Men stories of all time are the New Mutants from the 80s. And I would love to see those come to screen. And rather than do them as a movie series, I would totally tune into the New Mutants every week to follow along that storyline like I do with Flash and Legends.
And I think that would be a better approach as far as like with X-Men goes, and even the Fantastic Four.
Right.
Because I think with so many attempts, especially with those two franchises in the Marvel Universe, that people can somewhat pull away from it and say, okay, we already seen these characters before.
Right.
It didn't work out. So I think putting it on the streaming service.
I think of the teams you could pluck out of the X universe. I would watch a Hellfire Club show with Emma Frost as the Black King. And I would not only binge watch it, I would repeat watch it.
You would watch anything with Emma Frost.
Emma Frost is my favorite character in the entire Marvel universe, but we're going to save that topic for when we do our comic show.
Yeah. So was there anything else you wanted to add?
I'm just really excited for this to get up and running. This is the new Disney Channel.
Yeah. I do. I really would love to see, for me, I want to see the content that I grew up with. I would love for them to just have a section, even just titled The Disney Afternoon.
Yeah.
And have all those shows.
Do it by decades.
Yeah. Or have, again, like we were talking, like with the Walt Disney Treasures collection and everything, with the older Mickey Mouse shorts and the Goofies, the Donalds, the Plutos. Oh man, I'd be there all. You couldn't even probably get me off the TV.
See, that's what I'm excited about. Not only do we get the vault mostly intact, but we're getting all this new stuff to go with it. I can see, because right now when I'm at work, I will throw on YouTube and I'll watch something like Defunctland or Tim Tracker, and I'll let those play in the background, like especially Martin's videos. I can see myself just putting on Disney Plus and leaving it on the whole day while I work.
Yeah, just let it run. And for Disney to say that they emptied out the vault more so, and there's no vault anymore, that it's pretty much 95% of the content.
So let me ask you, are you going to continue to buy the Blu Rays once the streaming service comes online?
I probably will for 3 reasons. One, just in case if they don't have the extra content.
Same.
As far as what is going to be cut out once it's on the streaming service.
Same here.
And the third thing is I still get my points from the Disney movie rewards.
Yep. Quite a bank of points right now. Every time I buy a record from Disney to review on this show, I get 100 points.
Wow. And
What's funny is I used my points a while ago. They had these Haunted Mansion sums, like no points at all. So I grabbed a bunch of them thinking, oh, I'll give these to my nephew. Yeah, they only sent over the girls.
They only sent over the what?
They only sent over the girl sums.
Ah.
It's like, I'm not going to give him The Bride and Madame Leota and...
You wanted like the Hitchhiking Ghost.
I want to give the Hitchhiking Ghost, and I was like, "Oh, I see. I got the seats and stems of the bag. Thanks."
Yeah, you wanted the Hitchhiking Ghost and the Hatchbox Ghost.
So now they're living in my office.
Yeah, another part of your collection. And then speaking of your records and everything, you got a Detour coming out too. We were just speaking of Sleeping Beauty.
Yeah, next week we are, Mindy and I are doing the Sleeping Beauty review, and it's going to be Sleeping Beauty versus Sleeping Beauty. I bought both the vinyl record and the 2-disc Legacy collection. So I have listened to a lot of Sleeping Beauty the last couple of weeks.
Same here. As I said, we just got done watching Sleeping Beauty. I don't know what it is. It's like the third time I've watched it within the last 3 months, and every time it gets to me is that long shot of Aurora and Philip dancing in the forest, and you just hear that Once Upon a Dream medley in the back, and they're just spinning throughout. That shot for me is,
I don't know, I find it to be like one of the perfect Disney movies. I can throw it on anytime and watch it.
And yet you will not find another Disney movie that looks like that.
No. It was the last one to be done completely by hand, and it's magnificent. And it's funny. It's why I've never really liked Dalmatians, because you go from this movie that is a true piece of handmade art, and it's beautiful and gorgeous with this amazing adapted score, and then you go to the next one 2 years later, and you can see the cells have all been Xeroxed from the original drawings.
Yeah,
it's such a stark change that I don't know, passengers. Am I wrong? Did Sleeping Beauty ruin Dalmatians for me?
Yeah. What's your take on that, passengers? If you had to compare like the aftermath of Sleeping Beauty, and they give you the animation quality of Dalmatians, storyline really well. But I think as far as animation goes, I think Dalmatians would have been better, not exactly right after Sleeping Beauty's release.
Right on the heels. And then every film until Roger Rabbit looked like that.
Yeah. And for me, even kind of going back to the Disney Plus, that I was talking about extra content, I would love just content of Mary Blair and Ivan Earl.
I would watch that all day.
Because them two, they just had a completely different style where if you saw it, you knew that was an Ivan Earl project or that was Mary Blair. And I would love to just see content just of the animators or anyone that has, because I feel that they don't really get a lot of recognition that they should.
I think they do within the Disney fan community.
Well, yeah, within us.
Yeah.
I think as far as like going out there into the world, like people don't know their name, and maybe they don't really want to be known in that manner, but I think to pay tribute to their accomplishments and everything, I think it would be a great honor to have that kind of content on the Disney Plus streaming service.
Well, not just that, we get into some. I love to see documentaries about people who made huge contributions to animation, like Don Hahn or Glenn Keane, the 9 Old Men. I would really like some Disney history brought forward as documentaries.
Yes, sort of like how they did with the Boys, the Sherman Brothers story.
Right.
What was it? Waking Sleeping Beauty.
Look at Saving Mr. Banks. That is a fantastic movie.
Yes. I mean, they could even probably do, minus as a documentary, but they could even do a movie just with the Sherman Brothers alone.
Right.
And, their story.
There's so many talented people who've contributed to this. I wonder when the Joe Rohde series is coming out.
Now, they did say that there was a series called Animal Kingdom. Now, is that going to be for Nat Geo, or is that actually specifically...
Well, there's a show on TV right now called Animal Kingdom.
Okay, so I wonder if that's the Animal Kingdom.
Yeah, it's a show about criminals.
But yeah, that would be... I would love to see a Joe Rohde.
Yeah, or a Tony Baxter.
Yeah.
Or I'd especially love like a Mark and Alice Davis story.
Yes. Marty Sklar.
Right.
I mean, he was at every opening of every park.
Yeah, I know. He yelled at me.
Did he really?
Yeah. When the Grand Californian opened, he valeted his car with us, and my valet scratched his car, and I'm the one who got yelled at for it.
Oh.
And the whole time I'm thinking, you do know the company's going to pay for it, right? And it's not even your car; it's a company car. So yeah, I've been yelled at by Marty Sklar.
So there you go, passengers. There's something for you to think about. Our very own Jungle Skipper Jay got yelled at by the Marty Sklar.
I'm going to drip feed some of my great Disney stories. Got so many great Disney stories from working there. Some passengers you'll never hear, and some I will drip feed out slowly. So I have one final thought about Disney Plus.
Yes.
And I want Ludwig von Drake to be your guide when you turn the channel on. I want Ludwig to tell you where to go, just rambling on and on throughout the channel.
Yes. Yeah, have him be like every time you turn it on as an intro conductor where it's just like, oh, you could go there and, you do this. And he's just, yes.
Yeah. Or you like select a button or you select a box. Oh, so I see you're going to la, 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 la.
Yes.
And just ramble on. It'd be hilarious. Please
that's genius.
Bring Von Drake back.
Even with him, he could have his own series.
I would kill for a Von Drake.
Oh,
Von Drake explains.
Yes. And I know we're running a little bit over time, but do you remember they were older cartoons? It was, what was it called? It was with Jiminy Cricket, and he would sing it in song.
I'm no fool.
I'm no fool. Yes. I'm no fool.
Those tracks, by the way, we're just going off today.
Yes.
I picked up the Pinocchio Legacy Collection, and on the second disc, all the Jiminy Cricket songs from the Mickey Mouse Club are on there.
Oh, wow. And that's another thing. I would love to see the original Mickey Mouse Club with Annette.
The original's the best. I don't care what anyone says.
Yeah. Annette, Bobby.
Annette, dude, we love Annette. I would love a show about Annette.
Yes.
And with that, that's my final thought.
I don't really think you could even go even further than that. I think like Annette Funicello just says it all.
That's just, I've got Annette framed on my wall, so I'm going to leave it there.
All right. Well, with that being said, passengers, this was a very interesting and it's a different adventure that we have taken, but I think it was definitely something that needed to be discussed.
And these are the kind of conversations we have when the mics are off. This is just us shooting the breeze.
Yes, this really is. So of what you heard today is actually, yes, what we discuss and talk about when we're finished with recording. So we are definitely pulling in. Hopefully, I mean, Jay's probably still going to be within the Twilight Zone after we even come out of it. So
Ooh, it's a day.
So he'll still stay in the Twilight Zone and probably keep on singing the Gummy Bears theme. Thanks to me.
Dude, seriously, I just got it out of my head.
So with
just wait till D23.
We will be out there, passengers. So if you recognize us or recognize our voice, please come over and say hello.
If you see us, come say waltz up and hang out with us.
Yes, we love it. We really do. And on that note, passengers, I just have one last thing to say. Gummy bears.
Dashing and daring, courageous and caring, faithful and friendly with stories to share. All through the forest they sing out in chorus, marching along as their song fills the air. Gummy bears, bouncing here and there and everywhere. High adventure that's beyond compare. They are the gummy bears. Magic and mystery are part of their history, along with the secret of gummy berry juice. The legend is growing, they take pride in knowing the fight for what's right in whatever they do.